Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast, Pharmacy News Sunday. Pretty excited. Last week was Easter, and that means that we're pretty close to the end of the semester, so a little bit of a break this summer. I'm pretty excited about that. But let's go through the blogs, the podcasts, and the vloggers that we should see this week. So starting off, just a reminder, if you can do me a favor, even if you just look inside the book, the new one I created, and just send me some feedback, whether it's my DMAC email or most people talk to me by Facebook Messenger. But it's called Pharmacology, Memorizing Pharmacology Mnemonics, Pharmacology Questions and Answers for the Future Nurse, Doctor, Physician Assistant, and Pharmacist. And I wanted to make a book that's not just for one specific group, because I think we're going to be working interprofessionally more and more as we move on. There's still 9 spots left for pharmacology. If you want to take it with me this summer, you go to dmac.edu. And you can sign in as a guest student if you're from out of town or if you're from in-state and want to get that training here at DMAC. So again, community college prices if you want to take pharmacology online with me this summer. My last interview on Friday was with Career Staff RX, and I really enjoyed that because I don't know what the job market's like. I've tried talking to people. Some people say it's terrible. Some people say it's fine. I've got what I wanted. All my APPE students got the jobs they wanted. But it was nice to hear somebody else's perspective on what jobs are looking like right now. And if you are interested in working with a company that specializes in that, they've got their contact information there. But there are right now, I think, 39 jobs that you can go to careerstaffrx.com and find those pharmacist jobs there. If you're a pharmacy tech, there's 103 jobs throughout the United States. So again, it's a national company, but definitely check them out if you're in the hunt for a job. Pharmacy girl, Jackie Boyle, did an episode with Alina Seckel, and she's created a blog post with it about leading with authenticity. Again, most of her I keep saying podcast. Her blogs are relatively short, so it's a quick read. So I definitely recommend you go out to thepharmacygirl.com and check it out. TLDR Pharmacy has the Pharmacist Guide to U500 Insulin. Again, he puts up some great blog posts that are really helpful. And then I think he also has I know he also has his diabetes cheat sheet that you can find a link to there at tldrpharmacy.com. On the Mothership Pharmacy Podcast Network, started off the week on Tuesday with Ken Sternfeld from it's My RX VIP, which is they do pharmacogenomics and things like that. And it was kind of interesting to hear what it's like on the inside of an API rotation or APPE rotation, and what a student does on a day-to-day basis, especially working with a physician as we're kind of moving towards that model. Gavel and Pestle podcast, Darshan, he's commenting on the opioid epidemic. Interesting comments when I did go to APHA. Obviously, there's all the work on the opioid epidemic, but there's also the opioid shortages now because prescribers are so hesitant to prescribe opioids, even when they are medically necessary, and hospitals can't get the opioids because of these limitations on manufacturing. So kind of interesting when you want to look at a issue that's national like this and kind of see both sides of it. Just a kind of interesting dichotomy that I'm seeing, that you've got the one group that's saying just let's stop opioids, and then on the other group we have, once you've done that, there's going to be repercussions. But I think the pharmacist is really well positioned to kind of sort all that mess out. So I think the next one was from HIMSS 2018. That was a conference Todd attended in, I think it was Vegas. And then two pharmacy owners talk about their preparations for growth, working with McKesson, Razar of Ray's Drugs, and then Vilpesh Patel of Menard Pharmacy. Your financial pharmacist, I think I mentioned the home buying episode with Nate Hendrick, and then he had a two-part series, so they did the first 5 of home buying and then the second 5 of home buying. And then there was 2 questions that students asked, one about managing debt during the residency, and then when to refinance your loans. But the real estate RPH, that was a really interesting thing for me because I was a real estate agent for almost 7 years back in Baltimore, and I really enjoyed that career. It was the first time I understood variable income, and I was working as a pharmacist when I started it, but there was a long period of time where I only worked as a real estate agent, and there are peaks and valleys throughout the year, but the nature of the way that I did business, by referral, creating contact, care, and community, I was never at a point where I thought, oh my gosh, where will my next check come from? It was actually quite the opposite. I had to leave pharmacy because I was making so much money in real estate, and I never really counted the money. You just kind of kept working with clients, and at the end of the year, you just look at it and go, wow, that was a great year, and I really enjoyed that, the autonomy that you had, and although you do get the calls nights, weekends, all those things, it was the first time I really understood how to save enough to have variable income. So many people save a couple of months in their bank accounts so that if there's an emergency, something happens. But as I was working in real estate, I eventually got to a point where I wanted to save 2 years' income, so that I never ever felt that I had to. I never ever felt, when you have that much in savings, one, all the financial planners can tell you're an idiot. But the second thing is that what you're really buying is peace of mind, and you can't go to Amazon for that. But I think that really should be your goal. Not 2 weeks, not 2 months, but 2 years of income. That way you know that, if something ever happens, you can always get another job, and you always have that to fall back on. Helix Talk, treating tardive dyskinesia. So the 2 new agents. I'm the king of pronunciation, and valbenazine is not a problem, but the number of syllables in the next one, it's deutetrabenazine, and it's like like the first 3 letters of 2 in French, tetra, like 4, and then benazine. But I thought they had a limit of 4 syllables on new drugs. I'm not sure how that happened, but deutetrabenazine, valbenazine is an interesting episode because I'm not clinical, but when you have a novel drug that treats something that nothing ever treated before, it's kind of cool to hear about that. Core Consult RX, I think he had one on acne vulgaris, if I'm right. And he's building a library of some really great episodes there as well. Okay. Kevin Yee, I really liked the episode he did with April Schluter, who quit engineering to become a life coach. And you would say, oh my gosh, that seems counterintuitive. Why would you do that? And I feel like that one-on-one, that ability to see how you're impacting someone directly is a really, really important part of satisfaction with life, with satisfaction with your work. But I definitely recommend you check that out. And if you haven't already, check out Brian Fung's Tips for the Phase 2 Residency Match or the Residency Scramble. That was a really good episode. He really has great insights when it comes to residencies and things like that. Other than that, this week on the Pharmacy Leaders podcast, we're going to welcome Kelly Jo Welter, who is the APHA-ASP president-elect, and then we're going to hear from the creativepen.com. She's out of Bath in England, and we're going to have a two-part series with both of those. And she does a really great job. I think she has 30 books now, but she started with nothing. She was not an author. She just decided that this is something that she was interested in trying to do. And we talk about not only some of the difficulties that she has, but certainly how you can become an author yourself. All right, well, it's 15 degrees in central Iowa, so we'll keep warm, and I will talk to you next week.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.